Congress passed the TVA Act in 1933. I'm here representing the organization Appalachian Voices and the many people who could not take off work to speak to you today. Thank you for the opportunity. TVA recently sent Representatives Michael Scow and Elizabeth Moore to meet with folks in rural East Tennessee. At the meeting, longtime residents, some of whose families were part of the early land acquisition by TVA, spoke about the struggles they're going through daily to maintain their electric service. That was the promise of TVA when it was created. Too many people spoke of energy inefficiencies and their dependence on clothes dryers and electric stoves to heat their homes in the winter. Many folks are elderly with fixed incomes or have children they're trying to keep healthy. Sadly, they aren't able to get help from the one program that was set up to help folks like them, the Weatherization Assistance Program. I have been informed that the Weatherization Assistance Programs for the rural areas surrounding Knoxville have waiting lists of over 1,000 people for each county. We most certainly have a crisis in the Tennessee Valley. I believe it's time for a new energy future that we can be proud of. TVA is essential to that future. But the programs you currently offer that I teach people about are not accessible to the folks who need them the most. I recognize that you have to make the numbers work to keep rates low, but energy waste is an essential piece of that. By valuing energy efficiency as a resource like coal, gas, or nuclear, and investing in the most important resource, our people, their homes, and communities, we can keep rates low by reducing the need for added generation capacity, while also creating jobs, which was at one time part of TVA's mission. It's more challenging to make a living in rural communities, but people live there because they have for generations. We have family, community, and ties to the land. People don't want to leave, and many of them couldn't if they tried. But the jobs are leaving, and we desperately need reinvestment. That's where TVA should come in, given that part of its role is to generate economic development across the Tennessee Valley. In the 70s and 80s, TVA invested in energy efficiency and weatherized over 500,000 homes. We need a new deal like that, and we need something now. We need extreme energy makeover programs and other programs that help folks of all income levels access the resources needed to reduce their energy costs and improve their quality of life. In some rural counties, 70% of homes are more than 20 years old, and the poverty rate is 25%. Energy efficiency programs are the best way to alleviate the burden of energy costs on impoverished families. But to make those programs sustainable, valuing energy efficiency is key. Thanks. And I have copies of the comments from that meeting.
You can go speak. Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Kim Thrasher from Upper East Tennessee Human Development Agency, which serves the northeast counties of eastern Tennessee. And we've been hearing great things about the Extreme Energy Makeover project that piloted here in the Knoxville area. I'm here this morning to encourage you to consider continuing this venture and bringing it further up the valley and expanding investments in low-income residential energy efficiency improvement programs. One program that we are currently garnering support for is the on-bill financing, as is being offered in Eastern Kentucky. Eastern Kentucky shares many of the same poverty and energy challenges that we in Upper East Tennessee do. And I believe that support from the TVA is essential to the success of any project in the energy arena. Providing incentives to utilities who offer energy efficiency programs would be a great way for TVA to support our rural communities. Our agency, along with other CAP agencies, are always looking for ways to partner with other community organizations and private industries to find creative solutions to the challenges that our families face. Let me tell you a little bit about one of our counties. One of our counties is Hancock County, and according to the 2010 census, it reported a median income of just over $19,000, which is the lowest median household income in the state of Tennessee, 27th in the nation. Approximately 29% of that population is below the poverty line, including 37% of its children and 30% of its senior citizens. and that's just one of the rural counties that we serve. We've been serving these families at Upper East for over 50 years in a variety of ways, including weatherization. And I'm the weatherization program coordinator, so I see every application that comes in. And I can tell you that I will never be able to serve all of the applicants that I have. My waiting list gets deeper by the day. Of the applicants that I see, about a third of them spend more than 15% of their household budget on energy. And I'm confident that that number would be higher, except that many of our senior citizens budget differently, and they'll go without food and without medication in order to keep their utilities, so they try to create a balance. Let me tell you a little bit about Mrs. T. Mrs. T last winter was forced to move. She lived in a mobile home. She moved all of her belongings into the living room, blocked off the rest of her unit, and heated her home with her electric stove. And that's how she was heating her house when we met her. I'm happy to tell you that through the weatherization program and the LIHEAP dollars, we were able to set her up last week with a full new HVAC system. But I have many Mrs. T's on my list. Bringing energy conservation programs to our communities would be invaluable to our neighbors. And we ask that you would keep our rural communities in mind as you are making your decisions in the future. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Chris Bice, minister of the Tennessee Valley Unitarian Universalist Church. Our congregation won the Green Power Switch annual commitment award a few years back. But today I'm speaking on behalf of 143 religious leaders who've signed a letter that will be coming to you. This letter has been signed by leaders from the Catholic, Protestant, Muslim, and Jewish traditions. And our goal is to ask you, TVA board members, to develop TVA home weatherization programs that affect your lowest earning customers. Presently, more than half of the people in the TVA service area do not have sufficient income to benefit from existing programs. And this is something that faith leaders know very intimately, because we often get a knock on the door or a phone call and of people seeking help with utility bills. And while moderate and higher income households can take advantage of energy efficiency to reduce their power bills, no such TVA option is available to those most in need of protection from high energy bills. We do want to thank you for organizing and forming a lower income stakeholder process. We have some concerns that this process doesn't yet have the lowest income citizens represented adequately, but we are gratified that the process exists, and we'd like to see it fully utilized toward the goals of ensuring that lower income households can benefit from TVA home weatherization programs. We hope you will make a long-term commitment to partner with local power companies, lower income voices, interfaith leaders, and state agencies to both overcome the barriers to lower income home weatherization programs and to expand lower income energy efficiency opportunities. We thank you for your attention this morning. We hope you will read and consider our recommendations, and we look forward to working together with you toward those goals.
I am Sofia Paulus, and I am the Economic Development Director for Graham County, which is the southern shore of Fontana Lake. Originally, I came here to talk about floating homes, but now I am here, compliments of Bob Gurley and his lovely wife, to talk about public policy, public relations, and due diligence. You've heard way more than I could possibly come up with to say about the floating homes issue. Clearly, in Graham County, we are against the sunset because just the talk of it is already having an effect on our property tax revenue. Our budget as a county annually is only $6 million. The floating houses on Fontana Lake generated $38,162 in property tax. That doesn't include sales tax from gas to boat, the marinas, any of that. Okay, so this is already having an impact on us. As far as public relations go, the reason I thank Bob Gurley and his wife is because the first time I heard about this meeting was 36 hours ago from them. No one on my Board of Commissioners was informed about this meeting, nor any other public comment meeting held prior to. No one in my county government was informed of any of these meetings, and we were alerted to it by the public. The reason this lends to the notion of due diligence is because we're the ones with all the records. We're the ones that know what kind of economic impact this is going to have. We're the ones that know how this is going to affect you and how many people are going to show up to talk to you as a result. We are the line between you and them. And not contacting us, I think, has been detrimental to all of us. From a public relations perspective, that is the lowest cost, high return investment you can make. And in Western North Carolina, the notion of private use of a public resource does not float well with us. The reason is because you guys use water from North Carolina to make an exorbitant amount of profits, and we see nothing from it. The point of sale of your product does not get taxed in North Carolina because it's made somewhere else. There are no programs that I'm aware of. Now, mind you, I'm new. I just moved from DC. But there's been nothing in my research to show what benefits you guys are providing to Western North Carolina, and therefore it's not apparent enough for me to have found it. So I invite you to contact me. I invite you to work on public relations issues with me and my office. And I've given our generous moderator my cards, and you can feel free to contact me anytime directly. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Lloyd Webb. I'm the Director of Engine Procurement at Olin Corporation. We have a facility, a direct serve facility in Charleston, Tennessee, and I'm also here representing TVIC. Normally when I come here or talking forums like this, I want to talk about the reliable supply of power or the competitive pricing of power and making sure that we have competitive pricing. But I think it's also incumbent on us to talk in forums like this about the things that we see utilities doing, where they're doing it right. And so today what I want to talk about is economic development, in particular economic development supported industrial efforts in the Valley. Clearly, TVA's economic development program is world-class. Over my career, I've worked on a lot of projects, both inside the U.S. and outside the U.S., and most economic development groups that I've worked with have what I call an off-the-shelf process. So you come in and you talk to them, you want to look at development of the project and look at their areas of potential site. You ask for site information, they reach to the shelf, they hand you their list of sites. You ask them about tax abatements, they'll reach for the shelf and give you the list of tax abatements. You ask them about infrastructure support, they'll give you a list of names and they'll reach for the shelf for what programs are available. And then it's up to you to figure out how to make it work from there. TVA and TVA's economic development partners have a totally different approach. TVA, the first thing they do is they want to understand what your needs are and what's it going to take to make a project work. And that means either a greenfield project, or if you already have a facility and you're looking at expanding, they will work with you on that front too. And they want to make sure that they understand. And then what they'll do is work with all the parties to make sure they pull together something that will work for you, that provides the benefits needed to sustain the type of project that you're working on. In my case, at Olin, we have an example of that. Back in 2010, we had a situation where we had to look at either cutting down production or replacing it with new technology. We decided to put new technology in because of the confidence we had in the TVA Economic Development Program, and we have had very many benefits from it. We have now a Fokker Chemie across the road that supports the investment we made. Mr. Yon was talking about the investment that Resolute's making. They're a customer of ours, and through our confidence of the TVA Economic Development Program, we've made a very good decision in actually replacing the technology at that site with state-of-the-art technology. So thank you for your economic development efforts, and we encourage you to continue. Thank you.
My name is Chris Antley, and I'm a staff member with the Southern Alliance for Clean Energy. It's wonderful to see you all again, and I appreciate this opportunity to comment. First, I would like to applaud TVA for the most recent step toward advancing the deployment of clean, affordable, renewable energy in the Valley. the establishment of the Distributed Energy Resources Group to be led by Jay Stowe. I'd also like to thank the staff for their ongoing and growing commitment to meaningful stakeholder engagement. I understand that staff has been looking closely at the opportunity to bring thousands of megawatts of clean, low-cost energy to the Southeast through the Clean Land Transmission Project. The savings and economic development opportunities associated with acting sooner rather than later to take advantage of the federal tax credit extensions available for that project are important. Important for ensuring the lowest cost energy for ratepayers, important for making the Valley appealing for economic growth as companies like Google increasingly demand renewable energy to meet their sustainability goals, and important for creating new jobs at existing Valley businesses. I also understand that due to investments in large gas plants in recent years and Watts Bar 2 coming online, TVA is awash in capacity. Absent either unexpected and unlikely load growth or the retirement of some existing generation assets, TVA doesn't need to procure a significant amount of renewable energy. Finally, I understand that it's likely that staff will be making recommendations to the board in the coming months regarding whether to install pollution controls on Shawnee Units 2 and 3 and 5 through 9, or whether to retire those units. This decision comes at a critical time. I urge staff and the board to choose retirement. Keeping those carbon-emitting antique units alive would be expensive. Pollution control equipment and coal ash and ELG compliance are costly, more costly than clean energy alternatives. Keeping those units alive would also be climate irresponsible. Coal means carbon pollution, with or without pollution controls. Spending that money on clean, historically low-cost, clean line wind and solar and energy efficiency instead is a smarter, more economic choice. It means lower rates and fees, lower carbon pollution, and it would help address the overcapacity issue. And while TVA needs to commit to take clean line wind in the near term, TVA doesn't need to take delivery of that wind until 2021. That provides plenty of time to address the phase out of the Shawnee units and other coal retirement issues. Thank you again for sharing your valuable time, expertise, and knowledge to benefit all in the Valley. Thanks.
Sorry to disappoint you, it's not going to be about floating houses. My name is Edward Jacks, and I live on Norris Lake in a residential neighborhood outside of La Follette. Our neighborhood of 150 property owners, the 11 property owners in the neighborhood directly across our cove, and property owners in the surrounding area are very concerned about the approved TVA 26A permit for the commercial campground currently under construction adjacent to our subdivision and at the mouth of the only road in and out of our area. You can see the concerns right there. It is on private property with a TVA flowage easement. This 26A permit apparently allows RV pads, recreational vehicle pads, decking, a boat ramp, and a multi-slip dock on lakefront property that is below the 1044 elevation line. The only firm information we have secured thus far is that a septic system has been designed and approved to accommodate 25 recreational vehicle pads with electric and sewage hookups. There will be 12 boat slips, and the RV sites will be on long-term leases vice normal renting. We have significant concerns associated with this commercial enterprise that we feel are within TVA's purview and 26A regulations. 1, septic tanks and hookups installed below the 1044 threshold and therefore subject to flooding. Water has exceeded the 1020 summer pool elevation in the past and could cause potential sewage discharge into the lake. Number 2, insufficient shoreline to accommodate a 12-slip dock at the very narrow mouth of a spring-fed creek in an area containing seasonal water. We also believe there will be insufficient distance between the 12-slip dock and other residential docks as well as between the 12-slip dock and the opposite shoreline in accordance with paragraphs 1304, 204C, and H of 26A regulations. Environmental concerns associated with potential soil erosion due to the clear cutting of trees is also an issue that we need to worry about, and we think an entire environmental study needs to be done. We're also concerned that public safety will be impacted because of increased local traffic who may choose to use our paved dock versus their gravel dock, which as a boat owner, I would certainly do. We're also concerned that there was no prior notification of the scope to adjacent property owners as outlined in paragraph 1304.2. And we believe that there's possible misrepresentation on the 26A permit, which we think was applied for as a residential dock versus a community dock. We're also concerned that the TVA doesn't interface with the city or the county when things have gone on associated like this that might eliminate public controversies before they occur. We respectfully request that you suspend that permit in anticipation of an additional environmental and common sense review. Thank you.
Good morning. My name's Deanna Edge. My husband and I are permanent Tennessee residents here at Norris Point, on Norris Lake, on Norris Point Road for 13 years. We are stunned about the 26A permit, presumed to be approved for this campground. We have heard many different stories of which we don't know if any of them or all of them are true. My husband and I have camped for many years, and every time we went on a lake or on the ocean, there was never septic or sewer ever on those campsites. We are, with this 26A permit request at this campground, we are still wondering if the campground owners have only been partially forthcoming with you in their request. We, as many couples did, researched and bought property here at a beautiful TVA lake, which is remote, away from the hustle bustle, not close to a marina, and is in a secluded lakefront neighborhood of approximately 150 lots. We decided we could afford to move to a tax-friendly, affordable state and look forward to our little bit of paradise in our retirement. What could possibly go wrong in our neighborhood with 750 miles of shoreline, right? Since I would like to speak as to the public controversy over this campground. Since this 26A permit appears to be approved, it provokes and allows the following. Number one, 24 extra bathrooms, 24 extra showers, 24 extra dishwashing activities at the start of our street, in which there is only a 4-inch water pipe, which was unbeknownst to us when we moved there. Number two, 24 50-amp electrical outlets, which are between the 1020 and 1040. Our utility company has finally upgraded our electrical in our neighborhood and is finally stabilized, but now outages can be more due to this. Number three, now with this campground, there will be 25% added traffic during the high volume recreation activity between Memorial Day and Labor Day, which equates to RVs 50 times a week and around 500 times during the high season that are traveling in and out, in which we are subject to colliding with these RVs on only 17-foot and 18-foot wide roads with several radical switchbacks and drops. And lastly, number four, if this campground winds up being long-term versus short-term, which we don't know, then, which means the trailers will be left at the campground all year long, then we can look forward to squatters, robberies, dope, and parties. Please look at this issue again. Thank you.